Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Power Women in Insurance podcast. Today, we have a huge change. We have a huge shaker-upper of the conversation in so many different areas. And we're also going to shake up our format a little bit because we are excited today to be able to have our first male guest. And we said in 2023, we wanted to be able to really branch out the conversation, and we are doing it. So
Wow.
today we are actually going to kick that off with Jason Cass, and we're going to talk
Mm-mm-mm.
about all the cool things that Jason is doing. But Jason, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
Thank you very much. As you know, I really truly am honored and kind of blown away when I found out about this. So this is awesome. This is really, really cool, Teresa.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on for a number of different reasons. And the first reason is going to be just because we have just been able to get to know each other better through the whole podcasting type situation.
Hmm.
When I first came out with the Power Women in Insurance podcast, you had me on your podcast, which was awesome to talk about women in insurance. And then we've been able to really get together a lot through that podcasting experience. And then I've seen you at
Hmm.
tons of conferences with you have Brain Share, you have the Agency Intelligence Podcast Network, you have all these
Yes.
different pieces of
Hmm.
your offering and your puzzle out there. So tell me a little bit as we get kind of started a little bit. Tell me how all these pieces for you, you have a book, all these
Yeah.
pieces for you. Tell me a little bit about that journey and
Mhm.
how you have really settled into
Mhm.
who you are in the insurance community over the past 5 to 10 years.
Well, this is dangerous because that's a lot, and then I like to talk a lot. So,
Right.
Teresa, I really will try to cut it short. But wow, you asked a lot of things. Yes, I am a true entrepreneur. I love to take risk and don't know how I'm going to get out of them. I love to jump off the cliff and build my wings on the way down. Right. Those type of things are true. But yes, so I am a 3 location agency owner in Southern Illinois, and I have a passion for the insurance industry. Very big with the big I, was the national young agent chairman back in 2010 to 2012. And then I got out and I started Agency Intelligence. I actually started Agents Influence. That was my podcast. And funny to be known, Teresa, I don't know when this is coming out, but my very first podcast came out March 22nd of 2013. It'll be 10 years,
Wow.
10 years,
That is
over
great. Congratulations.
800 plus podcasts. It's amazing. And you realize it too, right? You just look up one day and you go, oh my gosh, I've done that many. It just starts
Yeah.
that way. So then I did Agents Influence. And that was the first podcast. And when we did Agents Influence, this is important to know. This is still my motto and slogan today. It's to create forward change and momentum in the greatest industry God ever created by giving a voice to those who have no voice. Before
I like
everybody
it.
had a podcast, there was all these ideas that were sitting around inside these rooms and these agencies, and they weren't being told. And then I was for the big I would go on these stages and I would do these presentations, and people would come up to me and give me these ideas, and I'd say, well, why don't you tell that to somebody? And then one guy said to me, he said, you have the microphone, you tell them. And I thought, okay.
True.
So then I thought, well, wait, I'm going to do this podcast thing and I'll give everybody the microphone. And then I remember when some other podcasts started coming out in 2018, 2019, people were like, aren't you upset that all these other podcasts? I'm like, no, it's giving a voice to those who have no
Mm,
voice so they can help create this change, right?
yep.
So if I'm able to help create change, if we got 10 people and 30 people and we get people and the women, now we're really pushing this whole thing. And look where we are in 2023. The world is completely different, and so is the insurance industry,
It
and
is. And
way
it's
more
still
for the good,
changing fast. So, I
and way
mean,
more
it's
for the
not
good.
slowing down.
It really has. So yeah, I read the book. Customer Service is Just Foreplay. It is the modern customer experience that will separate you. I wrote that in 2015. No one was talking about customer experience. Now everybody talks about it. And what I basically did was just took the customer, the journey. Think of it this way, listeners. Think of it from when someone first hears your name to when the very end of the journey and they're buying multiple products from you and renewing, right? That whole journey there, I broke it into 6 stages. And then I gave you the tools that you would use in each one of those stages. And so it was an Amazon bestseller. It was awesome. And today, Now that same book is relevant, except those tools now are actually technology. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
So then we created Agency Intelligence, and I decided with my podcast, I was getting 1,000 downloads a day. And there were people like Teresa, there were people like Charles Speck, people like James Jenkins, who I would ask them how many downloads they were getting. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't we use what I've already created, right? Like, you do your thing, Teresa, because you do it awesome. But if you want, we can also put it on this network. And
Right.
you will not believe how many people have told me, I love the fact that there's just one place I can go, And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's all we care about, is just getting our message out there. So we created that. So it's the insurancepodcastnetwork.com is out there, but that's actually part of Agency Intelligence. We
And
created
just for
Brain
the
Share.
listeners out there, how many podcasts do we have on that network now officially?
Eleven.
Because you've been adding 11. Okay. Because I know that when I came on, I
Mhm.
think there were like 5 or
There
6,
was.
I
You were
think. And
very
so,
close. Yep.
and then I know that you've added quite a few over the course of the past like
Mhm.
2 years. I think I've been with the Agency Intelligence Network now for 2 years, haven't I? I think
Probably
the
two,
podcast is
probably.
3.
And we're very picky at who we added. We actually have not added anybody in about 8 months, because there's a lot out there, and I don't want us to overlap. And I'm waiting. I think I have found one. If you guys want to know, this is a great one. It's called The 10 Rules of Business. It's by
Oh,
Sean Kirby and his father. And his father is the ex-CEO of Transamerica, retired at the age of 40. He tells this story, went to raise his kids, realized that he was an entrepreneur. Now he owns all these businesses. And Sean just sits down, who's a young agent in our industry, who's killing it, but one very good friends with Mitch Gibson. And he just sits down, and his dad gives the 10 rules of business, and he gives one rule every time. And it is some of the most genius, great stuff that any agency owner can get out of. So anyway, sorry to be jumping
I
around
love
there,
it.
but
No,
it
it's
is
great.
that. And then so here we are today. And I now I do have another gig too. I also realized that I created a virtual employee company, because
Yep.
I found I had a lot of friction. We've been using virtual employees since 2014, and it wasn't the best situation, let's just put it kindly. And
Hmm.
so we finally decided to just start our own. And so that's what we did. But besides that, it all starts through delegation to be able to do all this stuff that we're doing.
Yep, yep. And I love how whenever you have these conversations with agencies, principals, owners, sales people in sales, account managers, whenever you're having those conversations, you internalize what the challenges are that they're really working with. And your mind automatically goes to how can we help? How can we try to be able to build solutions for that?
That is
And I
true.
think that's really strong for you and just kind of your nature, because all of these things that you have between your book, between the podcast and the podcast network, as well as some other things we're going to be talking about today, are really problem solutions in the
Mhm.
insurance space. And I love that your
Amen.
brain just goes there.
Oh, good. I can't help it. I can't help it. I really truly can't. So I went to ITC, Insure Tech Connect, this year, and I
Okay.
went last year and I went this year. And I'm just going to tell you, it's an overwhelmingly huge, it's all technology, but let's just be real. And everybody who's been there and listening to knows this. For as far as independent agents, there's really not much there. It's all
Right.
big tech carriers talking. I mean, they're doing their VCs and all the stuff that they do at the top level, but not like I'm talking like technology being used for claims, but it's nationwide who's using it. It has nothing to do with us,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I saw this and I thought, man, this is really great though. And then a couple of weeks later, I went to AppliedNet, and I realized that they have the best show and the best technology show. It's just all applied though, right? So
Right.
I was like, how do we do this? And then I started thinking of ITC. And then I was really motivated by some thinking of some stuff that happened. I have a lot of glasses of wine, and I think about this stuff way too much, my wife tells me. But I started to realize something, that if you go back to that journey that we were talking about earlier from beginning to end,
Hmm.
let's say that we split that journey right in the middle at the sale. Okay. I've really realized that InsurTech, which is the word that's out there for all this technology for,
Yep.
they have really helped us, and they've really kind of helped us in that area, that first part of the journey. And that's with leads and lead conversions and
Hmm.
CRMs and workflows and stuff like that. Okay. That come in on that. And really, if you think about that, Teresa, that's something that any industry uses. We all use leads. We all use those type of things. I think we're getting ready to see the explosion, not of insurtech, but indie tech. Because when we look at sales and after that process, you've got to be an insurance agent. You've got to know what's going on to make and create software. So what are we seeing? We're starting to see a lot of independent agents who are making software for us. I know anybody listening to this has always sat on the side of some kind of software in their agency and go, has anybody sat on this side of the desk and actually when they were making this? Because this is terrible. You don't say that when you get technology that are made by independent insurance agents, right?
Right.
So that is I was sitting in the back next to Peter McDonald at Wonder Right at an ACT meeting, and I said, that's it. I'm going to create and I am going to facilitate the environment on August 29th, 30th, and 31st of this year in Indianapolis, Indiana, because we are independents. I love marketing, if everybody can't tell. We are going to be having Indie Tech, and this is nothing but a tech show. And this is for people to come and be able to find the technology. We have 147 tech companies that we have reached out to. And Teresa, let me tell you this is what's amazing. Even me, I love tech. I know all these companies, right? I know like 30 of them. Like the other 100 and some, there are so many other companies. A lot of them haven't even sold $1. I saw ChatGPT for insurance, and I kind of mentioned this a minute ago to you, a little bit ago, but it shook me to my core. It really did. When the gentleman explained to me that ChatGPT is built off all the data of the world, right? Your agency is its own world. And to build the ChatGPT for your own agency is actually not very hard to do, and you don't need a lot of data. So trying to keep it simple. And then when you take that AI and you put it into your browser, now what it starts to do is it starts to learn how you're working and how how it can assist you in that. And then when you think it has an infinite amount of memory storage, it'll start to learn and watch you do a quote inside PL Raider for John Smith. But for the companies that don't connect into that, when you go over to that carrier to do the quote, it says, are you doing this for John Smith? And it's AI technology. And it doesn't matter how the question's asked, because it's like you or I. Even if the question's asked differently, our brain figures out and knows, oh, that's what it means. That's what artificial intelligence means. We're getting to the point in time, and this is mind-blowing for people. And if you are a tech person out there, you know where it is. Everybody talks about integrations. Everybody talks about APIs. With AI technology inside the browser, you don't need APIs. You don't need integrations. You don't need to be able to the information to go to this program, because all the AI is inside your browser. And if you go there, it's going to pre-fill it for you as you're there.
Wow.
So yeah, this is the things that I'm seeing out there. And so this is why I'm making this. You see this? This is why, because these people have no way of getting out there and knowing. And this is why is this important? Because if we don't continue to do it, we start to lose market share. It's not that we're going to go out of business. It's not a doomsday thing. That's not it. Let's be realistic business owners here. For we have like a 33 or 34% market share in the auto and home market.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, but I did at one point in time, and I don't know what the new number is, but for like every million or for every percent that we lose our gain is like $180 million in revenue to the insurance industry.
Oh, wow.
Revenue to me and you, right? You can break that down and say, this costs me this much. Our technology is how we gain and show our true value of what we do as independents. And I think the more that we know that, and the more we can create that customer experience through that customer journey using technology and real people, that's what's important about this. That's so important to say here. Jeff Roy said this. This comes to mind right now. Jeff Roy told me, he said, Jason, AI will not put agents out of business. But those agents who use AI will put those who don't out of business.
Oh, I like that.
I said, Jeff, that's good.
But I also feel like, and we talk a lot on the podcast specifically about the fact that agents have to be able to be forward thinking. We
Hmm.
have to. And sometimes as indie, we get really stuck in our ways, right? This is how it's always been done, or this is how, it's just easier right now because we have so many things to do in one
So many.
day, that the idea of bringing something else on becomes so overwhelming sometimes. But
Hmm.
we also have to be able to see that, we are, a lot of our baby boomers are aging out of technology options, in the sense that they do really well. A lot of them text, a lot of them do email and things like that. A lot of them have apps on their phone for various things, and a lot of them don't, right? But at the
Hmm.
same point, then you get your 40 to 70, right? And those people are very into it. They're very into it, the vast majority. Then when you get 40 and below, we're not going to be able to service these different generations without embracing technology,
Amen, sister.
because of the fact that, I mean, like all these, commercials, all these things where you can go online and get insurance in 15 minutes, right? People love those, the convenience. And we have to be
Hmm.
able to merge the personal relationship with a technological experience in
Hmm.
order to be able to keep those clients. So as our, Gen X and our millennials and our Gen Z are really a lot more into where we are as far as like our clients, we have to be able to bridge that gap between the speed and the access to the information, as well as bringing them the service that they're not getting from the call centers and from the more cold environments. And tech
Correct.
is a way to be able to do that.
Right. So, and also think about this. I mean, this affects us directly as agents, is that you look at technology and very soon we will kind of laugh at our phones. We will still have them. We'll still have them. But this will be one of the dumbest phones we'll ever know. And the reason is we will have our own AI. Because think about how unprotecting this phone is. If I
Hmm.
read something that's fake and not real, it doesn't tell me.
Hmm.
I need it to tell me in this world. The disinformation is not going away, right?
Yep.
So when you start to think that it'll be Teresa will have her own AI, I'll have my own AI, and my AI will protect me from your AI, basically in the conversations we're having, the bullshit you're telling me, whatever it could be, right? Now think about that as an agent. Think about that when you're sitting there talking to somebody, or you start to tell somebody a coverage that they have, and maybe you're embellishing a little bit, and the AI is like, nah, that's not the way that is. Right. This starts to change the way we communicate. Now, I want to tell everybody this, and this sounds weird, but this is all good news. This is
Hmm.
not, once again, I'll say this 100 times. This is not doomsday. What's amazing is in Eastern cultures, in Asian cultures, a lot of times their religions, and you can look this up, this is a fact, their religions believe that things of metal and robots have a soul. And so that's why in Eastern cultures, they love robots. They see them as, they have pet robots, everything. But in Western culture around Hollywood, we've been tortured and feared into the fact that it's going to take over, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
so far, it hasn't taken over. Email didn't take us over. Fax, it's okay.
Right.
I'll even throw an exclamation mark on that to say this: in 1999, the very first time Watson, which is an AI, it beat a master chess player for the first time ever, and was never able to be beat again until 2008, when they thought, you know what, let's play not Watson up against himself, let's play Watson and a human up against himself. And AI has never been able to beat them if there's AI and man together. So that's what we're
Oh.
learning here. This is not a bad thing. This is going to enhance what we do. This is going to make things easier on what we're doing. Right now, there's a lot of probably CSRs and account managers that are listening to this and saying, yeah, my agency got these automations and I got to trigger this automation and move it in this pipeline. And oh my gosh, my world is, yeah, it's more organized, but I got all these things to do. You won't have to do that much longer. Give it a
Yeah.
year, 3 years. The AI is going to help you. It's going to know what you're doing and where you're going to be going. And it's going to be built right into your browser. It's going to be your buddy that's going to help you every day. I promise it's coming, and it's not far away. So
Right.
it's pretty exciting. It really truly, it really, really pretty is exciting. So I want this stuff exposed. I want people to know this. We're also going to have educational paths that are going to be taught. So in the afternoon and the evening, there's going to be paths taught where you can go in and learn and create and execute anything technology. Travelers may be there at Indie Tech, but they're there showing us the technology they let us use to write their policies. They're not bringing their auto and home people there. This is a tech show. This is, if you don't have some, if you're not an Indie Tech carrier or Indie Tech vendor company, you can't come. This is for technology. And so it's going to be a big deal. Having a big party on Wednesday night with a band too. So we're going to do it right.
You know me, I like a good band.
I know you do,
I think we've had a couple good conversations around a good band once or twice.
Damn right.
A little bit of libation,
That's when all the good conversations happen.
Right. And then, get me on a bus going to the next place and you and I will just be there all night long.
Amen to that. Been there. Been there.
So, okay. So one of the things I do hear from agents out there is that it's scary, that it takes too much time, that there's too many options. They don't really have time to even figure out what it is that their tech actually does. Like they might subscribe to Agency Zoom, or they might subscribe to, Easy Links or a certain management system or whatever, but they don't have the time to learn about all the nuts and the bolts that really hold the system together and how it could really benefit them. They kind of learn what I call the icing on the cake. They kind of learn the top piece. And I know that you are integrating your passion behind the customer service experience and with that into being able to create a conference environment that isn't too overwhelming and that really makes sense for agents. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I love that concept.
That actually is an important part. I should have pointed that out before, but thank you. So yes, that's very important to what Teresa's meaning is that in that customer journey that we talked about, once again, that 6-layer of customer journey I did at the book, I'm doing the same thing here. So instead of picture a trade show, but not in a ballroom, this is an exhibit. This area is so large. It's 1.5 times a football field. This is a huge area. And picture almost a circle, everybody. And in those circles, as you walk along that circle, you're going to walk through the customer journey and you will experience the technology that would be used at that point in the journey. So if somebody says, hey, Jason, where do you use WonderWrite? Well, I can sit here and tell you, well, it's used right in the beginning stage, right? No, you'll be able to see. And what you just said is important. People said they get overwhelmed. And here's what happens. They go to their local state conference or some show, and they talk to this technology company and they really like what they hear, but they think to themselves, well, I need to go check their competitors out, right? I need to go read the reviews, all the stuff we all do, right?
Yep.
But their competitors aren't in the same building. So now they have to leave and they get lost. That's why we're going to bring everybody, all the competitors will be there. And all the competitors are like, the companies are already saying to me, Teresa, they're like, so you're telling me that like, my competitor is going to be right next to me? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, I don't know if I like that. I said, okay, let's look at this. Car dealerships do it. Fast food restaurants do it. Gas stations do it. Walgreens next to CVS. Folks, you guys are all thinking the wrong way here. You all want to be next to each other. So Teresa can go, okay, so you're one of the 3 I got to pick from. Okay. All right. This is cool. I can make a decision now. I don't have to go back and do all this stuff. Not only that, we're having demo stages. So every 2 hour or every hour on the stage, there will be 2 demos that'll be going on live. So you can look at the booth and then you can go down and watch their demo. And then we also have little meeting areas where you can go and you can get more in depth with the technology. We're creating a path for the attendees, but we're also trying to create a path for the vendors because we want them to get out there. I'm invited some venture capitalists. I want people to come in that have money because there's people who need this stuff. The place I was talking to you about that has the AI in the browser, they haven't sold $1 yet. So they can't afford to buy a booth. So what we did is we took booths and we split them into fourths and we sell a little kiosk corner for $1,000. So even the person who doesn't hardly have any money, they can afford, I know $1,000 seems like a lot, but for a tech company, they should have $1,000.
It's not necessarily for a tech company.
Right. Yeah.
But
sure. Good point. So anyways, we're trying to create an environment where everybody is involved here. That is the point. I also have put in an invite to the Big I CEO to Vertifor CEO, Applied CEO, Ivan CEO, and we're going to put them on a stage. And I mean, they speak for millions, or not millions, but thousands of agents. We want to hear from them. We want to hear the good things they have to say and connect with them, because I'll end with this. This is Switzerland. This isn't about Big I. This isn't about the PIA. This is not about Vertifor Applied. This is not about tech companies. This is about independent insurance agents. Yeah. And that's what this is about. And then last, can I say one more thing? Because this is important.
Go for it.
The show is on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of August. But really, the show is just the 30th and 31st. On the Tuesday before is what we call indie sales. It's being led by Mitch Gibson and Krista. I cannot think of her name, from Oklahoma. I knew I was going to forget her name. She's from Oklahoma Young Agents. Anyways, and what they're doing is they're putting on for young agents, 35 years or younger, or 3 years in the business or less, as they consider a young agent. And they're putting on, literally, they're putting tech to the side. They're getting whiteboards out, learning how to build pipelines, how to prospect. Things that really is another thing that we don't get taught much here in our industry, that we need to be taught.
Yeah.
Like we were taught at a young age. There's not a lot of those sales courses anymore, you know? And so I told Mitch, I said, well, if I'm going to do this and it's different, if you want, you can do your thing. And then, so it's indie sales on that Tuesday, but Wednesday and Thursday is indie tech. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And now that you mentioned that, I would love to bring my daughter, because she'll be coming out of the state auto program. I think she'll be done with that in July.
Ooh, Pacesetter?
Then she's a Pacesetter.
Great program. Great program.
Yep. So she just got invited to the second half. And so that is actually going to be February 26th through the 28th, I think. So she's going up to Ohio for that. So she'll be done with that in July-ish. But I would love for her to be able to talk about, to be able to go to that and be able to see kind of that pipeline. I mean, I know that they do so much of that with state auto, and it's so great to be able to do it. And she's doing so well with that program. She really, really is. But I always feel like, you know, we always have more to learn, and we always have different aspects of conversations that different people bring in that just keep the conversation fresh, you know,
right about
kind of
that,
thing.
girl.
So I would love for her to be able to do that. Well, so I think too, people get a little bit scared of the concept of being overwhelmed when people come into these types of situations. And so I think I'd really like for everybody that's listening today to be able to realize that the way that this conference is being structured is more of a linear type thing. It's not that overwhelmed. You can take a break. You can go see a breakout session. You know, you can go talk to the companies. You're going to be talking to so many different types. But just to be able to just take it in a breather and be able to see what's out there, because for us to be able to harness the power of data, for us to be able to harness the power of technology, text messaging, emailing, all of these things, it creates systems and structures for our team. It creates a predictable experience for our clients, and it also increases our resale values at the end of the day whenever we choose to be able to either sell or pass along our agencies. And for us to be able to keep our agencies fresh and impactful is super important, to be able to bring on strong, solid teams, strong, solid clients, and be able to create a legacy type situation for ourselves, for those baby, you know, because we think of our agencies as our babies. We started them from scratch, right? They're our personal space that we feel very, very proud of. So I really want to challenge everybody out there. If you think, you know, maybe tech might scare you a little bit, because it scares a lot of people, but just to be able to get in there and take the chance, because this is going to be a different type of conference than you're ever going to be able to see. Highly recommend getting Jason's book ahead of time, so that way maybe you can even mentally get into that flow of what that space is really going to look like, because I think it's going to be I think it's going to be one of the best conferences this year. It's going to be hugely impactful, and it's going to be different than anything else that we're seeing out there.
I'm glad you see it that way. And now I got lost in everything you said. Something you said that was so great earlier about being predictable business, by having, you know, it has processes,
systems and structure that's predictable.
So important. My man, Billy Williams, who I find, you know, we all love Billy, and he's if you don't know Billy, you should get to know him. Billy said something to me one time, and I actually put this in the book. And this is so crazy. It comes back up. He said, why the customer experience is so important is he says, Jason, people know that it is terrible for them to eat at McDonald's, but why, when I drive by there at lunch, are they absolutely lined up, right? It's not just because there's a bunch of unhealthy people. It's because they know what to expect. They
Yes.
know that the number 2 is this, and it's going to come this way. They don't, it doesn't matter if they buy it in California or if they buy it in Florida, it's going to be the same exact thing. And so when we just have a little bit of time and we need something simple, it's like, I got to go somewhere that I know what to expect. And that's why they do it. And they may not be the best, they may not be the healthiest, but people like to know what to expect. So when you said that, that just absolutely clicked. And you're so right, Teresa. You're so right.
Well, and it just gives our team and our clients such a predictable experience. By giving them that predictable experience, it gives them a sense of security, right? Like they know what they will get at the end of the day. Whenever they open a
Yes.
claim, they know that we're going to follow up with them. They know that we're going to be there for them. We know that if something doesn't go right, because there are times that things don't go right, don't go as easily as we would like for them to, that we're here for them. And when people feel like they are an island in and of themselves and they have no support and they have no ability to be able to manage a situation, because they're not insurance agents, they're not in the industry. So many people get scared and then they go talk to their cousin's uncle, brother, whatever, and then all of a sudden some other agent's going, well, here, let's go ahead and move your business over here. And it's a loyalty thing in being able to give people that option for security and predictability goes a long way. It
It
also lets us
does.
be able to hire better team members. We talk a lot about how I think sometimes people's perception of the insurance industry is that it's not as busy and fast paced, and they think it's kind of a little bit of a slower, older
They do.
person's industry. And then all of a sudden they end up in this agency and they get a job, they get licensed, whatever. All of a sudden, I hear people all the time who are like, oh, my team member just left me a note and said this is too overwhelming and they can't do it anymore. And for us to be able to, I mean, number one, those probably are not the type of people we want to employ anyway. But
No,
at the
but we've
same
all had
point,
them. You're right.
yeah, we've all had them, right? We have.
Yeah.
And but if we can have some of those situations where we can create that predictability for our team members too, then that is really going to go a long way for being able to have what I call just a happy agency, right? I mean, I always say one of my biggest goals is just to be able to create a great agency where my team is happy, my clients are happy, and we make our goals. And honestly, I'm not one of these people who want like this big $20 million agency for whatever reason. I
Right.
just really want an agency that people feel that they can, and I always say, because I love Brene Brown, but to live wholeheartedly. And then we have our list of what that means to live wholeheartedly and our values.
Love it.
And that's part of what technology, and that's part of what streamlining our processes can do to be able to allow our team to be able to work independently as well as predictably, and give our customers that awesome experience at the end of the day. No matter if Sally's taking care of them or Joe's taking care of them or Rachel's taking care of them, our
All the
clients get
same.
the same robust experience.
That's right, T. You're right about that, girl. You're right. You're right. I love it.
And
I
I'm
love it.
I'm really excited too, just about where technology's going, because I know that with a lot of the data out there, that the data is starting to trickle down now to the agents as
Mm-hmm.
well,
Mm-hmm.
and with tools that we can use, right? Like data like Dora. I think that,
Yeah. Donna.
Dora,
Donna.
Donna,
Donna.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. Thank
Yep.
you.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Who
No
can give you
problem.
some intelligence. Oh, this person subscribes to a fishing magazine. Maybe they own a boat, and
Mm-hmm.
different things like that. And I think we need to be ready for that transition, because it's coming,
Oh, yeah.
whether people want to stick their head in the sand or not. It's coming.
Yeah, and I mean, like Donna specifically can read your clients and can tell you how likely somebody is to leave or to renew, and what you could do to actually keep them if you did this or that. Is it 100% right? No, but let's say it's right 50% of the time. That's more than 50% of the time that we know right now, right?
Yep.
So you are exactly right. Data is very valuable. And I just one of the things I just want to make technology simple. If somebody's out there and they're just like, I still just don't like technology, I'm just not going to do it. Let me tell you how simple technology can be. There are agencies that are listening, most of us, that go to carrier websites every day, and we get claims. We look at all the claims and what updated and what didn't. And maybe we pull policy documents, or maybe we look at cancellations, whatever we do. And we send somebody to do that to everyone. And now some of the carriers are starting to download some of that, but not all of it. So some of it you got to download, but you can't do that, right? Right. Okay. We don't do that. And what we do is we have RPA, we have Adapt API is the name of the company. I don't own them. I don't get paid for them or anything. I'm just telling you, Jacob Simon is his name. And when we come in the morning, we have an email with an Excel spreadsheet. And when we open that up, it has all the policy documents that were pulled, all the claims updated.
Wow.
It has all the cancellations report by company. And that was all done by a bot, and it happens every night at 2:00 in the morning. It's getting done, and then it delivers that report to us. So literally those hours and hours of time was taken away doing this. So when we say we don't like technology, here's the question we have to ask ourselves. Do we like doing things the way we're doing it now? And if you're going to be honest with yourself, no, you're overwhelmed, you're burdened, and you think, because everybody does, it's cool, that if I go get technology, that will just be more. In a way, there is some upfront work, right? But I promise you, like even with this bot, all you have to do is they record your screen while you go get those cancellations. And then the next day they come back and they say, okay, bot's ready to go, and boom, they press go. And the next day there's no setup, there's no nothing, but you just eliminated getting all those things that you have to do every day. Somebody's listening to this and they're going, oh my gosh. That's RPA automation. We have that in our agency. I'm going to tell you there's hundreds now of agencies, maybe thousands that have that. So you can start to see that. What does that mean? That starts to give you a marketing advantage. That starts to give you an advantage when you can start to use money in other places instead of using it for labor. We can't afford to, labor just costs too much anymore. We can't continue down that road.
Yeah. Amen on that one. I hear you that. Well,
but Teresa, thanks for having me.
What? I'm sorry.
I said, thank you very much for having me on. I'm serious. This is great. This was great.
No, I'm really excited. So remind me the dates of Indie Tech. It is
August 29th, 30th, and 31st in Indianapolis, Indiana, in downtown in the Indianapolis Convention Center.
Perfect. And if people want to be able to register to be able to go to the conference, how can they get information about it?
It will come out. We start registration on March 1st. I was thinking about going 15th. I still don't even know. And here we are 20 days away. Go to Indie Tech. That's INDIE Tech 2023.com, IndieTech2023.com. And you can find out information about it. And probably for sure, by the time this comes out, there'll be more information there.
Awesome. And then if people want to connect with you specifically, you have so many different avenues for people to be able to do so, because you do have so many different platforms. And your book is on Amazon for those people who want to be able to make sure that they get your book. But how can people connect with you to be able to talk to you and or your team about the resources that you have?
So it'd be Jason, JASON, and then agency-intelligence.com, Jason at agency-intelligence.com. Now, I would be the best place to start. I do have a whole team that does all this. I'm just the pretty front guy is what you know what I mean? I'm just like the president. The president really doesn't do anything. He's just a pretty front person. And then everybody else, all the advisors and stuff, are the ones that do everything. That's how it is around here. I'm just the pretty face. And I'm not even pretty. That's just what somebody told me.
Oh, well, you know what? It works. It works.
I'm joking.
I love it.
Thank you very much, Teresa.
We appreciate you very much. Everybody, this has been another amazing episode of the Power of Women in Insurance podcast with Jason Cass, our very first number one male guest on the platform.
That is awesome. So
I usually say at this point that every single Wednesday we have another amazing woman that we do feature in the insurance space. But today I'm actually going to say, check us out, because every single Wednesday we highlight another amazing person in the insurance space, and events that you can go to, things that you can do, places that you can go to be able to grow your career and be able to get out there and achieve your dreams. Make sure you check us out every single Wednesday on Apple Podcasts, Google, iTunes, all the cool places, because all the cool places, because that is where we are. Everybody, I'll talk to you next week, and have a really good one. Bye.